Hi, my name's Chris Price. I've been asked to tell my fish out of water story, which is born of a very poor decision of mine back in the dim and distant past. It dates back to my time at university, and I was the first person in my family ever to go to university. So it was with very proud parents, and it's a very naive and tender age of 17 that I headed off to Oxford, and I thought the world was my oyster and I was king of the universe. I was obviously pretty capably academically, and I was also not a bad track and field athlete, and I slipped straight into the university team, representing the university in competitions around the UK and in the US. And it was at one of those competitions in my second term at university where I'd just begun to underperform slightly, that a reasonably educated doctor brought me to one side and said, "I think there's actually something wrong here." Weeks of diagnostics and tests later found me in a consultant's room at the John Radcliffe Hospital in Oxford, which I remember the scene, sitting in an orange plastic chair in front of a desk and being told the diagnosis that I had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And time stopped and the air went out of the room. When I kind of came back round and landed back on Earth, the hospital started a conversation with me about treatment options and so on, but actually I knew straight away that I had some other decisions and options to take and to explore, really about how I was going to go about dealing with this as a situation that I didn't want to define me, but I knew that my family would react very strongly to, wanting to remove me from university, a place that I just got to and started to really enjoy. And then I didn't want to be that poor Chris person, the subject of awkward friend interactions and conversations. So I decided to keep it a secret, and I hid. I did not tell my family. I had to tutor myself because of the time having treatment in hospital. And at the very worst times, I had to hide from my friends and housemates, often by staying in cheap hotels and bed and breakfasts when the consequences of treatment got too bad. This was a secret I carried with me for years, with only 2 people in the world at that point really knowing. And a burden that only was lifted from me about 10 years ago when I told my family. And at that point, I recognized what both a burden and a hole it had been for me, and how that had really affected all the relationships in my life. That this one big secret, of course, had to be supported by a network and fabric of a million other secrets used to explain behaviors, absences, different recollections from my friends. And I've gotten in the way of so many of my relationships. And the irony being that this thing that I didn't want to define me as a person had become exactly that. What actually had happened is had come to define me. I just hadn't allowed it to be part of other people's definition of me or understanding of me. And that always made me feel awkward and other and different. And it always created this experience that I hadn't shared or hadn't explained to others, and yet informed so much of my behavior. So my story is one of being a fish out of water through an issue not created by gender, or ethnicity, or culture, but fundamentally through pride. Thank you.